Welcome back to Man vs. Meeple, the show where we talk about all things board game related. Today we're bringing you an actual review of the Grimm Forest, which is hitting Kickstarter very soon. It's by Druid City Games. It's built off the Grimm fables.
Yeah, this is built all around that. Not just the Three Little Pigs, although those guys take front and center stage, but all of the Grimm's tales are woven into this thing in some way, shape, or form. We did a first look on this a while back, and it's really good to get closer to final components. We didn't have any of the miniatures or anything like that, and some of these are really, really nice.
Let's get this out of the way first. Let's talk about the components. Now, this is a prototype that you're looking at, but a lot of it's very, very close to being done. It's got artwork by Mr. Cuddington, which is a married couple. They do some incredible artwork, Santorini being one of them. This game looks beautiful.
Yes, that was a great choice, especially for this theme. The artwork is fantastic, and the way that translates over into these miniatures is fantastic. These miniatures, to me, are great. They have like a very Disney sort of vibe, like a lot of the Cuddington art, and it just spectacular. Not to mention these houses, and we have to get into talking about the game so that some of these components make sense to you.
Yeah. So also in the game, each player has a player board. There's no information on this player board. It's just an area for resource collection and then a place for you to build your huts. There are, of course, we said the Fable cards, which kind of change the game rules within the game. You have friend cards, which will be played out in front of you. They have ongoing effects. You can only have one of those in front of you at a time. You have the resource tokens in numerous different denominations. And you have the market. And in the market, it changes depending upon the number of players that you have.
Right.
In a 4-player game, you add a fourth area called the actual market.
Exactly.
Anything less than 4 players, you just play with 3 of them, and you also will remove one of your gather cards, because each of these gather cards is related to one of these specific locations that you'll go to in the game.
That's what the whole game is built around. You've got the fields, the forest, and the brickyard, and like Jeremy said, the market in the 4-player game, and you're going to get straw in the fields, wood in the forest, and bricks at the brickyard, of course. And if you couldn't figure it out already, these are to build the little houses, the Three Little Pigs houses.
Yeah, so each of the houses requires the same number of resources in order to build them. You just need the different types of resources. They come in 3 different parts. You have a base, you have a wall, and then you have a roof that you'll need to use in order to build them. The game will end when the first player builds 3, and it doesn't matter what kind they build, just as long as they build 3.
Exactly. You could build 3 brick houses if you want.
Yeah.
You probably won't do that because you need to kind of move around this board and try to... There's a bit of a guessing game there and where other players are going to go.
Yeah, so it's a little bit easier to build your straw houses compared to your brick, and that's because each of these different markets provides a native amount on them. Fields, of course, provide 5, and you see the number in the bottom right. Bricks only provide 3, so it's easier to gather straw than it is to use brick. And then the market will provide 1 of every single one. And the resources that aren't collected there on a round will be accumulated and more will be added to it. So they become juicier for players to go to in future rounds.
And it makes that guessing game even more interesting because like some other games we played in the past, one of those spaces that has gone untapped for a couple turns all of a sudden seems very, very attractive because you can all of a sudden go maybe to the market or to the fields and get nearly all the straw you'd need to build a complete house, possibly.
So this game's all about trying to outguess your opponent on where they want to go. So here's how the game works. There is a gather phase at the start of each round. The gather phase, each player will place one of their cards in secret face down in front of them. Each of these cards represent one of the markets that they wish to go to. They will also, if they so choose, take one of their Fable cards from their hand and also place it with that card face down. And then every player reveals the cards that they have. Any Fable cards will immediately take effect according to whatever they say.
Exactly.
Some of these cards say when revealed, some of them say during the market phase, or whatever they take place. Some of them even require you to take miniatures and place them on these locations to either block or steal resources or to interact with it in some specific way.
Right, exactly. And that even heightens that guessing game because you can kind of mess with people's minds.
Yeah.
If everyone assumes you're going to the brickyard this round, like for sure, you could potentially go somewhere else and put the big bad wolf in the brickyard.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go there. And the way the game works is if there's multiple people in one space, you're splitting up the resources.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a lot less. So if you're really trying to mess with them, you get those Fable cards. And that's one way to play the game.
Yeah.
You could play the game without getting many, or you could really stock up on those Fable cards and mess with people.
And then players will gather the resources that are there. As you said, if you're the only player there, you'll gather every single resource there, and you'll put it into your tableau in order to build stuff in the future. If there's a split between the number of players, you will divide it up,
Right.
and whatever's left over will remain there for the next round. The next phase is the build phase.
Right.
And each player, in turn order, will take 2 possible actions. Now, it's possible to double up on these actions if you so wish.
Right. There's 3 different ones. You can build a single house section. So that's going to be either the base or the walls or the roof, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And like Jeremy said, you can do 2 of those. So if you have enough straw to build your base and your walls, you can do that.
Yeah.
The second option is to draw one of the Fable cards.
Right.
And this is really the core mechanic of getting those Fable cards in your hands. It's also a good way to spend an action if you don't have the resources to build a house or progress your house.
Yeah.
You just take another Fable card.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you can do is actually just gain any one resource. So if you've been really messed over in the market by going places or being stopped, there are some Fable cards that'll actually make you move away from where you're wanting to go. So taking a free resource is probably maybe the last resort, but it's still an option there.
Now, there's some cool bonuses that happen during this phase. If you build your foundation, nothing happens. If you build a wall, you get the option of drawing a friend card. When you draw that friend card, you can keep that card for you and replace a previous friend card that you have, or give it to someone else and they have to replace the friend card that they have.
Yes,
some of these are good, some of these are bad.
Yeah, so there's some take that in this game. You know, that's a fun aspect, because usually when you pull a card like that, like Jeremy said, you're either going to replace your card or not. In this one, you can get rid of that pesky card that someone's been using the entire game that's really been irritating everybody.
And then if you build the roof, if you are the first player to build either the straw, the wood, or the brick, you get a first player bonus. And that will give you 1 of each type of resource. And then the last phase is the refresh phase.
Right.
And you rinse and repeat until one player has built 3 houses.
Yeah, you stock back up, you stock the market back up, and like Jeremy said, you just keep building houses until someone's built all 3.
This game is cool. I really like it. It's got a nice layer of interaction. It's one of those games where it has the take that, similar to a game like Unfair, where you're hurting other players, but in a very fun way. And I think the theme of it allows that to happen, where it's not discouraging for the players.
Right. It's very lighthearted, and this is a good sort of family-friendly game that introduces a lot of interesting sort of Euro-y mechanics.
Yeah.
And in a lot of the cases, companies that do that, some of those games get dumbed down a little bit too much. I don't think this one does. This one's a really nice, fun little game designed the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think, like you said, you get a friend card, you take someone else's friend card away. At least you're not just taking it away. Mm-hmm. You're giving them a new one. So all the friend cards are good, but some might just be a little bit better, or at least more suited to a player's play style.
And publishers, take note. Spend some money on art. I mean, this stuff is fantastic. People look at this game. We look at this game and we're like, it draws you in because of how well not only the graphic design, but the artwork is as well. And a lot of games are just, they slap some stuff on and that's the end of it. They have full bleed. They've got beautiful line art. It's beautiful artwork.
And that's one thing that Druid City Games does a great job at. They're not a gigantic publisher, obviously, by any means, but their games look like they're coming from a gigantic publisher. Yeah. And it's really sharp. These components, they really made all the right decisions with how to present a game like this. So it'll be really interesting to see how well it's received.
And there will be some secrets, so make sure you guys check out their Kickstarter when it goes live. Some things that we haven't revealed to you guys
Hopefully
yet.
Not spoiled.
Not spoiled in full, but go check it out. If you have any questions for us, please make comments below ourselves, or I'm sure Druid City will probably stop in and make comments. Subscribe to us, of course. Like us on Facebook.
Follow us. Yeah, on Twitter, everything you can think of, please.
And we will catch you guys next time on Man vs. Meeple.
Bye-bye.